Hello, and thanks for joining us for today's webinar titled Haunted by Your Backup Renewal, 4 Questions to Ask First. I'm Kevin Collins from Unitrends, and I'm here with Dave LeClaire, Vice President of Marketing, and he'll be taking us through the presentation today. And don't forget, one lucky attendee will walk away with a $100 Amazon gift card. We'll contact the winner via email after the webinar. But before we get started, I'd like to cover a few housekeeping items. This session will be recorded, and after the event, you'll receive an email with a link to the on-demand version of the webinar. I would also encourage you to ask questions throughout the presentation. You can do so by typing them into the Q&A box in the bottom right of the player. We'll answer your questions at the end of the session. At this point, I'll turn it over to Dave. Enjoy the presentation, and Dave, take it away.
Thanks, Kevin. So today we're going to cover a topic that may be timely for a lot of people since we're approaching the middle to end of fourth quarter. A lot of people may have their renewal coming up for a backup solution that they bought maybe a year ago, maybe 3 years ago. And we're going to talk through some questions to ask yourself before you renew your backup solution, just to see if you're kind of still on the right platform, or if there's things happening both in your environment, in your industry, with your job, that you may want to consider looking at a different platform. So the first question I would propose you ask yourself is, your infrastructure is probably changing quite a bit as you look at new cloud solutions, look at things like Office 365 for email, look at the latest versions of operating systems coming out from Microsoft, et cetera, the new converged infrastructure. Your infrastructure is changing. Is your backup and continuity solution keeping up? So when we think about this, we know that our business leaders and customers are experiencing really dramatic digital experiences in their everyday life. They're seeing things be transformed through mobile technologies, social media, cloud technologies. They're seeing things happening in those experiences in every aspect of their life, and they're now turning to you in IT, expecting you to be able to deliver that same type of experience within your business. And companies that are successfully doing this are generating a competitive advantage for themselves. Those that are not are risking falling behind. And this actually shows itself in this stat I have on the screen right now, which is really quite a surprising stat, that the Fortune 500 companies are really cycling through pretty rapidly as companies that are able to adapt new technology are supplanting companies that are not being able to be as agile. The life expectancy of a Fortune 500 company back in the 1950s was 75 years they were expected to be on the Fortune 500 list. That's now dropped to a mere 15 years. And it's really showing that you either kind of keep up with the technology, you keep up with your business and stay ahead of your competition, or you run the risk of being replaced by somebody new. And this is happening not just for large companies, but it's happening for small and mid-sized companies as well. As a result of that, we're all searching for that way of how do we get more nimble, how do we get more agile, how do we get more flexibility into our IT so that we can deliver that digital transformation. And it's being delivered through not only through virtualization, but more and more it's delivered through cloud technologies, whether public cloud or private cloud. We're looking to use more and more SaaS-based applications to try and outsource a lot of the work that we've been responsible for. We're looking at things like containers and software-defined infrastructures to provide that capability, as well as things like converged infrastructure, whether it's Nutanix or other kind of all-in-one converged pieces of technology that bring technology into a pre-integrated solution to lessen the burden that we actually have to do to bring new capabilities into our enterprise. But we also need to take care of our legacy stuff. So physical and legacy operating systems and solutions still matter as well. So as you're looking at renewing your backup solution, is your current solution able to keep up with you as you move towards more cloud, as you move towards using converged infrastructure, as you move towards using more SaaS-based applications like Office 365? Is your solution keeping up, or is it forcing you to look at alternative point solutions to the point where you have multiple backup solutions, which could potentially cause you some heartache down the line? So ideally, if it's not keeping up with where you're going, might be time to basically look for a new platform. Question number 2 really comes down to how happy are you with the support you're getting from your backup and continuity solution provider. And it should be about more than just, am I getting good support? That company really should be focused on delighting you. So that's the question number 2 that I propose. Does your backup company care about delighting you? Are they making changes to their processes? When something goes wrong, and things do go wrong, it's the reason why we have backup and continuity solutions in the first place, but if something goes wrong, are they there working with you? Do you get the sense that not only the support person that you're working with, but the executive team at that company really cares about you and your business and keeping you up and running? And in Unitrends' case, I will say we work very hard at this. Matter of fact, it's one of the main metrics that we track in our company. We're very proud that we have a 98% satisfaction rate with our customers. If that number dips, and we did have a point a few months ago where due to some change in processes, as we were scaling the company, we found that number was dipping. The company really pulled out all the stops. We reorganized really broadly in the company to re-engage and make sure that we brought that number back up. And I'm very happy to say that in the current month and in the current quarter, we've gotten that number back up above 98, approaching 99% customer satisfaction. It's something that every single person in the company cares deeply about, and we monitor every single day. The third question is probably something that wasn't even on your radar, particularly if you bought your solution 3 years ago and you're coming up on a 3-year renewal. But even if it was 1 year ago, this may not have been as large on your radar. Are you fully prepared for a ransomware attack? Having a rock-solid backup and continuity solution in place is your best defense against a ransomware attack. Is your backup solution up to the task? Or is your entire business kind of up to the task? Because ransomware has become this growing menace. 3 years ago, ransomware was around, but it wasn't the crypto-based ransomware that we have today that encrypts your files with unbreakable encryption and demands ransomware payment. It was really more nagware, scareware. The latest instances, whether it's CryptoLocker or Locky or any of the other of hundreds of iterations that have come out in the past couple of years, have really upped the stakes on making sure that you can actually protect from a ransomware attack. This is probably becoming one of the biggest threats to IT, to losing your data and potentially having downtime. So you need to make sure that your solution is prepared to keep up with this. And ransomware attacks, unfortunately, are accelerating. In 2015, attacks increased 259%. I saw a stat just last week for 2016. Attacks are up almost 400% this year. And businesses that do get affected by ransomware, if they don't have a rock-solid backup strategy in place, they're going to have downtime. Matter of fact, most businesses that experience attack tend to be down for greater than 1 day. We've done some surveys on how prevalent ransomware has become. We've also monitor other companies, particularly in the security space, who run similar surveys, and we're all seeing about the same thing. To date, about 40% of companies have been hit by ransomware. If you haven't, if you're in the lucky 60%, consider yourself very lucky. It's really a question of when you're going to get hit, not if you're going to get hit. Ransomware is really becoming very, very prolific and successful, and has a lot of different ways into your business. When you look at a backup solution, and look at it from a ransomware point of view of how do I protect against that, there's some very key features that you need to make sure that your platform has in it. First, you want to have a solution that actually delivers instant recovery capabilities. Instant recovery allows you the ability to spin up your workloads from your backups in minutes, giving you time to actually clean your backup, your production environment that has been infected with ransomware. So the way this works is if it's a virtualized environment, we actually use the backups that are actually on your backup appliance as your production storage. We boot up into a new virtual machine using those backups, keep everything up and running. When it's time to move back to the real production environment, once it's been cleaned, you can live migrate using vMotion back. We also, Unitrends provides this not only for VMware and Hyper-V, but we also provide that ability to do instant recovery for bare metal Windows applications as well. So this is an important capability. A lot of older legacy backup solutions don't provide this. Most modern backup providers do provide this capability, and it's an important thing to have to make sure you minimize the amount of downtime that you actually have when you get hit. Make sure you have something that protects not only Windows, but also Macs and other OSs as well. Ransomware is still predominantly targeting Windows machines, but we have in the past year seen new instances of ransomware that are going after Macs, going after iPhones, et cetera, going after other mobile devices. So you want to make sure that you have a solution that is able to protect any of the data that you want to make sure that you can restore. And the third thing is something that not a lot of backup providers talk about because they really don't have a good answer for it. Because ransomware is still predominantly targeted at Windows-based systems, if your backup solution is a Windows-based solution, you can wind up in a really bad situation. You can wind up having a ransomware attack, your production data is encrypted, and ransomware makes its way over to your backup and encrypts your backups as well. Now you're really out of luck. You really have no choice but to basically pay the ransom if you want to get your data back. If your backup solution is Linux-based, it's far less likely to actually have that happen. The number of Linux ransomware instances are starting to appear, but we're probably 1,000 or 10,000 to 1 for Windows to Linux. So by picking a backup solution that's Linux-based, like Unitrends is Linux-based, you can make sure your backups don't get encrypted when your production environment gets encrypted as well. The fourth question, are you spending too much time on backup in DR? No one really wants to be spending time doing backup tasks. You very likely have more important things to do for your business that will help propel your business forward, getting that new project up and running, getting that new service for your company up and running, optimizing your operations. No one probably wakes up in the morning and says, oh boy, I get to go in and do the backups today. So we want to basically have a solution that absolutely minimizes the amount of time we have to spend doing backups, managing them, testing them, as well as our DR environments. However, we need to basically make sure that we have a solution that not only drops to the background, but is able to provide some assurance to us that it's actually working properly. So when we think about ways backup solutions can waste your time and block you from focusing on what's really important, which is your business, we see companies that are running multiple backup solutions in their environment. It means there's multiple user interfaces you have to be responsible for, potentially multiple tools that you have to be trained on. If you have different solutions for different parts of your environment, for example, one solution doing your virtual environment, one doing legacy, one doing cloud, the people who are responsible for that may not be able to share knowledge and back up for each other during vacations and things like that. Plus, you're spending additional dollars on multiple service contracts and dealing with multiple vendors. It really does bring a lot of inefficiency, and that can be avoided. Another way you can wind up spending a lot of time is by deploying solutions that are overly complex. A lot of backup and continuity solutions, when you put them all together, bring a lot of moving parts into it. That complexity can lead towards integration problems, can lead to finger pointing between vendors when things go wrong. By having a solution that is less complex, that's an all-in-one solution, you can minimize that. Likewise, you want to have a solution that is as efficient as possible in the user interface, minimizing the number of steps it takes to actually do a particular task. One, it actually reduces the amount of time to do that task, but probably more importantly is it reduces error rates by having a very efficient user interface. You don't have to wonder, did I do that properly? Particularly when you're under stress, when you're trying to recover something or dealing with a disaster, error rates tend to go up by users. It's just human nature. So having a solution that is designed to be very efficient, very easy to use, very intuitive can help with that as well. And the last point that I make on this chart is if you're not using automation to your full benefit, you're potentially wasting time. We see a lot of backup solutions that are still doing a lot of manual tasks, putting things on tape and having to ship those tapes out, having to manually validate that backups are working properly, that your DR environment's working properly. It can be very disruptive and very time-consuming. You can use automation to remove a lot of those manual tasks, have things such as moving backup copies off-site, using automation to a cloud environment, using automation to test your backups in DR environment can save you a lot of cycles as well. And then the last thing I want to touch on, and this is really one that we're probably going to deep dive in the most, is are you able to do less, are you able to have less and do more? We really are in an environment where it's stressful to be in IT. Now more than ever, things are different than they were just a few years ago, where today we have less time, we have less money, we have less downtime to actually learn new technologies. We're asked to face more risks, we're asked to take on more work, asked to do more projects. Everything is kind of exploding exponentially. If you look at the number of servers and VMs that we're dealing with, those are going up by an order of magnitude over the next few years. The amount of data is scheduled to go up by 50 to 75x over the next few years. The one thing that's not increasing is the number of IT professionals to do all that work. That gray line on this chart, that's the one thing that's not growing exponentially, and that's you. So we live now in this less is more world. We're expected to do more, but have less resources and less money. And this could either be an overwhelming challenge to you, or it can be an opportunity for you to transform your business and become more efficient. And your backup solutions need to be able to help in that. Failure is really not an option when it comes to your backup solution. The cost of downtime and the cost of lost data is really pretty astronomical. The IT costs for downtime in North America alone runs about $700 billion annually across productivity loss, revenue loss, the amount of money it takes to fix solutions. And the consequences can be very public and they can be very severe. So Delta Airlines just in August had a pretty severe outage in their data center that cost the company by some accounts $150 million, where they had to cancel thousands of flights, and it took a pretty big hit on their reputation as well. Unfortunately, when you do things right, the heroes really just kind of don't get rewarded here. It's kind of expected. In backup and continuity, we don't hear about the winners. We really only hear about when incidents and disasters make headlines, like unfortunately Delta ran into. But this is the expectation, is that we're able to deliver 100% uptime, zero data loss across all of our applications 24/7, 365 days a year. in order to do that, for IT professionals to be able to have less, do more, and be more, you need solutions that have these attributes to them. You need solutions that minimize or reduce the finger pointing between vendors. You need to have solutions that reduce the amount of management that it takes to do things. You need solutions that are as flexible as possible, that adapt to your environment, not only for today, but where you're going 6 months, 12 months, 36 months down the road. We need solutions that deliver more uptime and more confidence that they're going to work properly. And we need solutions that allow us to free up more time. Free up more time so that we can learn those new technologies, free up more time so that we can work on those mission-critical projects that we have, or perhaps even just get home on nights and weekends to see our families and have spare time. So Unitrends aims to do all this with our all-in-one solutions. And our primary flagship product is our Recovery Series physical appliances. These are all-in-one physical backup appliances that deliver enterprise backup and continuity in a hybrid cloud-enabled box. So it delivers local backup as well as the ability to move your copies of your backups off-site, either to the purpose-built Unitrends cloud or any variety of other cloud options that are out there. The second product that we have is our Unitrends Enterprise Backup Software. Essentially does the exact same thing as our Recovery Series. It just does it in a software solution that deploys as a virtual appliance in a VMware, Hyper-V, or Citrix Zen Server virtualized environment. Does all the same cloud capabilities, all the same local backup capabilities, instant recovery, et cetera. It just gets deployed on hardware that you, the customer, supplies, instead of actually being in a box where you're running actually on Unitrends hardware. We augment both of those products with a couple auxiliary products that supplement their abilities. One is we just announced our Office 365 backup solution that automatically protects your Office 365 Exchange, SharePoint, and OneDrive with unlimited retention, as well as a solution that we call Boomerang that allows you to have very low-cost disaster recovery in Amazon or Microsoft Azure for VMware virtual machines. We basically do the replication, we do the machine transformation, and we allow you to move your workloads between your VMware environment on-premise into Azure or Amazon and back. Very cost-effective way of actually getting a DR solution if you're not looking for a DR solution that comes from the Unitrends cloud. So when we talk about having a single platform and really making things easier on the user, we really are talking about focusing on that have less problem that we outlined. We want to have a ruthless pursuit of simplicity so that you don't have to worry about the integration efforts, you don't have to worry about the support contracts of having multiple pieces and have to deal with finger pointing from multiple vendors. So what we do is with our Recovery Series appliance, we combine the servers, storage capability, the hypervisor, the operating system, the backup software that you would typically have to do in a less integrated solution. You'd have to get all that yourselves, basically integrate it together, optimize it, tune it, and deal with all that. We do all that in a single box. Within a couple minutes, you can basically take your Unitrends appliance, connect power and network to it, a couple brief configurations, and you're talking about a 5-minute rack and go to the point where you're actually doing local backups. We do a similar thing with our cloud solution. If in that non-integrated solution that I'm showing here on the left, if you want to actually get your cloud backup copies off-site, you have to go source some compute from an infrastructure as a service company. You have to basically get the software capabilities loaded on that. You have to attach IaaS storage on top of that. And if you want to actually test all of this, you would probably have to bring in a third-party option, do it manually, or do a whole bunch of scripting. Unitrends actually has a purpose-built cloud that does all that for you. In our Unitrends cloud offer, we actually provide long-term retention, disaster recovery service, even disaster recovery testing, all in a single solution that's been pre-integrated, purpose-built to work and provide long-term retention and disaster recovery. Much easier, much simpler to deploy and manage, much easier to keep up and running. Because we have everything from a single vendor, it also results in higher customer satisfaction. Generally, there's a cascading effect. If each of the vendors that you're dealing with on the left-hand solution has a relatively high 95% customer satisfaction, but you're basically talking about compounding on each one of those as you go up, your customer satisfaction drops as you compound each one of those. In our case, it's all from one vendor, it's all integrated, one throat to choke. As a result of that, we wind up with a much higher customer satisfaction number as a result. So a couple of last points before we take some questions. When we talk about Unitrends all-in-one backup and continuity, there's really four major things I want you to remember. One, we protect everything you have. Two, we deliver continuity wherever you need it, both locally, on a primary location, a secondary location, in the Unitrends cloud, in a hyperscale cloud, at a partner, wherever. We want to deliver you guaranteed recovery and continuity. We want you to have complete confidence through our recovery assurance capabilities that you know without a doubt that you're going to be able to recover and be able to deliver that all within that single intuitive platform. So when we talk about protecting everything you have, we pretty much mean everything you have. Today, we protect over 250 different versions of operating systems, hypervisors, and applications, including a wide variety of physical and virtual environments. We provide native application support for popular enterprise applications like Exchange and Oracle. We have protection for SaaS-based applications like Office 365 and OneDrive. And just recently, we've added protection for infrastructure as a service workloads as well, such as those running in Microsoft Azure. So we really are aiming to protect everything you have in your environment within a single solution. When we talk about providing continuity everywhere you need it, we really are talking about doing both local on-premise protection as well as operating with a broad variety of cloud solutions. So whether you want to use a service provider, a managed service provider, whether you want to use the purpose-built Unitrends cloud, or any number of hyperscale clouds, we can support all of those with a single solution and make sure you provide continuity wherever you need it. Guaranteed recovery, as I said, via recovery assurance. What we're talking about is a solution that automates the testing of your backups and automates the testing of your DR environment such that you don't have to worry that those are going to work properly. We actually will spin up your applications in a sandbox, even complex N-tier applications. We'll spin them up in a sandbox, run tests on them, validate that they're working properly, not just that they booted, but that the actual application interfaces are working properly, that your networks are working properly in your DR environment, and that you can confidently recover from that certified recovery point. Because of this, we're able to deliver you an automated report straight into your inbox that validates that, yes, we've tested your environment, and we can guarantee that if you do a backup off of that set of backups, it will recover and meet your recovery point and recovery time objectives in actuality, because we've proven it. We're not guessing. We're actually testing it and validating that you're exceeding your RPO and RTO. And if you're not, you can do something about it. You can do it on a Tuesday afternoon when it's sunny out, as opposed to doing it on, a Saturday morning as the hurricane's coming in. Our solution is designed to be highly, highly intuitive with a single, elegant user interface. I'd invite you to take a look at our weekly demos we actually walk you through. It's essentially set up to be a very intuitive dashboard, give you a high-level view of what's going on in your backup environment, and allow you to basically double-click to get any additional information. If you want to actually set up a new task or recover a file, it's literally just a few clicks straight from our dashboard to basically do one of those jobs. So when we're in this less is more world, in order to do more, we think one of the best ways to do this is to do it with an all-in-one backup solution. And when you're looking to renew your backup solution, if you're on a non-integrated solution, if you're kind of in that old world, you're dealing with more vendors, which is going to result in more finger pointing, more management, more support contracts you have to deal with. You're going to have more work to set up and tune your environment, which is going to result in lower customer satisfaction. You're potentially dealing with multiple point products to protect your environment, or at the very least, you probably have a solution that is protecting several environments kind of in a limited manner. Chances are it's a Windows-based solution, which is going to be susceptible to malware and ransomware. All of this can lead to more downtime, more data loss, and is not going to deliver you an SLA of any kind. With an all-in-one solution like what Unitrends provides, you can move to the new world and have one vendor, one throat to choke, much less management to deal with. You can get very rapid rack and go to get up and running, as well as higher customer satisfaction over time. You get a full enterprise-ready solution that can protect your entire environment on a hardened Linux platform that's not going to be susceptible to ransomware. This is going to result in more uptime, less data loss, and will even deliver you a strict SLA. For example, our DRAS offer in the Unitrends cloud will provide a guaranteed 1-hour SLA for your entire environment in the event of a disaster. All this is because we are able to control so much of the environment and make sure that everything is tuned properly, testing set up properly, and management it can be automated. So with that, I think I'm going to bring Kevin back in. We're going to take a few questions here to wrap things up. But I'll close with, if you are looking at a renewal for one of those legacy solutions, if you are ready to not have to worry about recovery again, if you don't want to be spending all your time on backup, we think we're a very good alternative to that. So I'm going to leave a call to action slide up if you're interested in getting some trial software from us, and bring Kevin back in to do some Q&A.
Thanks, Dave. Great presentation. We had quite a few questions come in, so let's just dive right in and get going here. First question, actually there's a couple of questions around Office 365. First question is, doesn't Microsoft have built-in backup for Office 365? If so, why do we need another solution?
Yeah, this is actually a pretty common misunderstanding. Office 365 really doesn't have true backup. So if you have a user that goes in and accidentally deletes a file from their inbox, once it actually gets deleted from the recycle or the recycle bin, it's going to be gone. Microsoft will only hold a retention policy of a few days of data. I think it's up to 10 or 14 days. So if you have somebody who actually needs to recover that file, they're going to be out of luck. In many cases, recovering from that can take hours because they're not actually doing it on a per-user basis. They're kind of backing up your entire environment. Our solution allows you to basically have unlimited retention, allows you to, on a per-user basis, go in and in just a couple clicks, recover an individual email. Office 365 also really doesn't provide backup for things like SharePoint or your OneDrive users either, the data that's stored in OneDrive. Our solution basically is able to protect all of that. We have a really great ebook on this that walks through exactly what Microsoft provides, what they don't provide, because they do have a couple different options. They do have some solutions that actually have like legal hold, which can kind of look like backup, but it's really not designed for data retention. It's really designed for what lawyers need in case of a lawsuit. But we have an ebook that kind of will walk through all of that, and it's a really great asset that's available on our website.
Okay, so the kind of a follow-up question of the Office 365 is, we have a covering customer, Ken, asking, they have a recovery appliance, can they add Office 365 backup?
Yes, absolutely. So this is actually a service. So this is a cloud-to-cloud backup solution. So you basically call us up. We basically need to collect a little bit of information from you on your Office 365 account, and then up to 6 times a day, the service basically backs up your Office 365 data into an Azure implementation. So very easy to add, both for customers that have our appliances today, as well as just kind of as a standalone solution.
Okay, we've got a couple of questions kind of around ransomware. So first question is, do you have customers who have actually recovered from a ransomware attack using your solution?
Yeah, absolutely. Matter of fact, we hear from them fairly regularly. Matter of fact, there's been a few things where our customers have posted on Twitter and Spiceworks and other social media outlets that their virus protection had kind of missed the ransomware, but they were able to recover seamlessly because of Unitrends. This is unfortunately becoming a regular occurrence. As I said, about 40% of enterprises have been affected by it. And fortunately, if you have a Unitrends backup solution in place, it's very easy to get back up and running in just a couple minutes using that instant recovery capabilities that we have in the box. Allow you to kind of clean out that production environment and be up and running. We actually have a case study from on our website from a company called Life's Abundance. They got hit with ransomware that affected half a dozen systems, including a couple that were actually remote. They told us in that case study that if they were doing things the old way, where they were using tapes, it probably would have taken them about 2 days to recover from that. In the case of working with Unitrends, they were able to get completely back up and running in their production environment in less than 2 hours. And most of that was around just diagnosing the problem and trying to figure out which systems were affected. So yes, this is a very effective solution for recovering from ransomware.
And as a follow-up to that, Robbie's asking specifically, what makes the Linux-based solution much less vulnerable than a Windows-based solution?
It's really just the number of ransomware variants that are targeting Windows. Windows is a much, much larger base, and as a result of that, tends to be where the criminal syndicates are focusing on. It's just a larger target. It's always been the case that Windows has been the larger target for malware. They have started to turn some of their attention to Macs. There are a lot of end-user Mac solutions out there, so that's gained their attention, as has some of the mobile phone platforms like Android. Linux, I'm not going to say that there's no variants out there that go after Linux, but they're very few and far between, where we see new Windows variants pop up every single day. So it's really just the likelihood of the type of attack that you're going to be hit with.
Okay, we've got kind of a couple questions around standards for backups, so I'll get into these next. Julie is asking, do you guys meet HIPAA standards for backups with your device? Will you sign a BAA?
Yes, we will. With our cloud solution as well, we will sign a BAA. Yes, we provide that regularly.
And then here's another question. Can we apply information governance retention policies to backups? Multiple policies. For example, one backup has to remain for 2 years, another has to be deleted after 7 years. In essence, tagging each backup and assigning it a specific retention policy.
Yes, we can do that. on the appliance, and you can set it up for how you want to basically have your backup copies. We don't get that sophisticated yet in our cloud-based backups for Forever Cloud, but there are ways around that as well. That would be something to get into your specific situation. Engage us. We'll bring our solution engineers into it, and they'll explain exactly how to go about doing that. But that's a pretty typical use case.
Okay, and here's a couple questions kind of around what Unitrends supports. Can your software appliance back up to AWS?
To AWS, yes. There's a couple different ways of doing it. We can do archiving using a feature we call Cloud Hook that allows you to essentially treat an AWS S3 kind of bucket as a storage target. And we are in the process of releasing our ability to actually run our Unitrends Enterprise Backup software in AWS. And in that case, you can actually have a Unitrends appliance actually running in the cloud as a replication target as well, just like you would if you had a second location. We've just gone live in the Microsoft Azure Marketplace for that, and AWS is coming shortly. But we do support AWS in multiple ways. Boomerang is another good way of actually getting your data up into AWS as well, whether it's for backups or for disaster recovery. So we have a couple different ways of kind of skinning that cat. And just one last thing. The reason why we do have multiple solutions and multiple different ways, like I said, to skin the cat is one size doesn't fit all. What works for one company, whether they're a small company or a large company, depending on what their cloud kind of strategy is, might not work for others. So we've actually worked on getting a very broad cloud implementation, among the broadest actually in the industry, to give you all the various choices for doing that. Sorry, Kevin, go on.
Oh, no worries. Brian has a question. Does this support Salesforce Cloud Backup?
Salesforce, not today, no. The SaaS stuff that we're doing right now is the Office 365 stuff, so Exchange, SharePoint, and OneDrive. Salesforce is something we have been looking at, but we currently don't have yet.
Okay. Jonathan is asking, what is the storage capacity of your on-site hardware solution? What is the recommended percentage to use, and how far back will that back up?
Okay. Couple different questions in there. If you look at our Recovery Series appliances, we have appliances that scale from about 1 terabyte in storage at the low end up to appliances that go up to almost 200 terabytes. And you can stack multiple of those on top of each other. So we have customers that stack, and manage from a single pane of glass, many appliances, and can get up kind of into the petabyte range. So that, and from a software solution for Unitrends Enterprise Backup, you essentially attach your own storage to it, and that scales incredibly high as well. I think the second question there was really about how much retention can I expect to get out of a particular box. And the way we do that, if you go to our website and you actually look at our physical appliance models, you'll actually see that we show a kind of a raw storage amount, so that's how much raw storage is in that box. And then we have a suggested backup amount. And the reason why it's the suggested backup is because there's a lot of variables that go into how much data you'll get in that particular box, your change rate, how much retention you want to store locally on the box, the type of data you have and how well it compresses and deduplicates, et cetera. It's really hard to actually narrow that down into one number. So what we've done with our suggested number is if you are a typical customer, and I'm using that word very, very liberally, that has kind of what we've measured over the course of many years, thousands of customers, seeing kind of how typical data deduplicates and compresses, et cetera, et cetera. If you have a typical change rate, you will that suggested number will give you 30 days retention on that box for that amount of suggested backup. That's essentially what we're saying with our sizing charts that we actually have. But if your data compresses and dedupes more than that, you could potentially get a whole lot more on that box. If you have a very high change rate, for example, you may get less. But that suggested number is a very good guideline, and I would say the vast majority of customers are going to be pretty much right on that number.
Okay, one more question, and then we'll wrap it up. Jason is asking, are you ITAR compliant?
Are we ITAR compliant? We have not. I'll tell you, we meet all the requirements. We do not have an ITAR certification. We haven't gone through the actual requirement certification, but we hit all of the check boxes for it. That's been sufficient for some companies that require it, others that require the actual paperwork. We are not there yet.
All right. Well, thanks. We're just about out of time here. As a reminder, this webinar was recorded, and you'll receive a link in an email to the on-demand version. We'll also be picking the $100 gift card winner, and we'll contact you via email. And thanks so much for joining us, and we look forward to having you on future webinars. Take care, everybody.